Nightmare Real, and you're watching Mission Boxing Today on YouTube.
Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? All right, so one of my subscribers wanted to know my opinion about Chinese boxer JUNLONG. I looked him up on YouTube. Now I've heard of his name before when I was doing videos on what's the other dude? The other China dude that went to the Olympics. Zhang I believe that's his name. Yeah, when I was doing when I was looking up him, I had heard of JUNLONG, but I never really looked up his fight. So I got time, and I looked around, or I had time, and I looked at some of his fights. Not really much on YouTube, man. There was one clip of a fight. I forgot the guy's name, but if you look him up on YouTube, you'll see the little clips I'm talking about. There's only literally 3 videos up. One of them's like an interview, and they show like a piece of another fight. I think he was fighting Sean Cox in that fight. And then another clip, small clip of him knocking down another guy. That's all I've seen of him. And for what I'm seeing, he's southpaw, has very heavy hands. He's 6'4", 200 and I think he's like 280 pounds or something like that. Doesn't have a bodybuilder's physique. He has a 77-inch reach. From the clips that I've seen, he likes to come forward with the high guard. Seems like a patient fighter, wants to get close to let his combination go. Seems as if he can let, like he could punch in combinations well. That's one thing I noticed about him. He can put his hands together. Seems like he has heavy hands. He's 15-0 with 15 knockouts. I looked up his resume, and the 2 names that pop out from his resume, Jason Gavern. We've heard of Gavern. Gavern's been in there with a plethora of other heavyweights. Deontay Wilder, Dillian White, just to name a few. And then George Arias, not the Dominican kid from the Bronx in New York. Not the prospect, but the Brazilian fighter that's been around for a while. I believe George Arias started his career in like the mid-90s or something like that. All right, now those wins popped out because Gavern's a notable journeyman level type of guy. Comparing him to the other, top guys in the sport right now. Gavern's like a journeyman type guy, and so is Arias. Arias, I know he has 16 losses. I think, he has like over 50, close to 60 wins, over 40 knockouts. And he is a guy, I've seen him in there with Takam and Pulev and the Fury fight. He usually goes the distance. And JUNLONG was able to knock him out. And according to BoxRec, he knocked him down 3 times, and he stopped him in the second round. And Arias has been stopped before. He's been stopped 5 times in his 16 losses. But his last stoppage loss, I believe, when I looked it up, was in 2005. You know what I mean? And since then, he's been in there, like I said, with Takam and Pulev and Fury, and they couldn't get him out of there. You know what I mean? He usually gives you some tough rounds, and he'll go the distance with you. And he's a guy that, beats other He's usually a guy that can beat other journeyman level guys. But when he gets in there with somebody like guys on that level, usually loses those fights. But the fact that JUNLONG was able to knock him out, to me, was impressive. And I understand Arias is over 40 years old, but he's still somebody that's durable as hell. You know what I mean? So that stood out to me. And he was able to stop Gavern also. He's 15-0 with 15 knockouts. But it's hard to really make a strong prediction of what I think he can do. I just haven't seen enough of him. He is rated number 15 by the WBA. I was looking around just to see if there's any type of fights that, the WBA can possibly make for him in the top 15. And I don't know. Guillermo Jones is number 14. Christian Hammer is number 13. Hammer may be looking for something more notable of a fight, being that he just beat Erkin Tepper and then he just knocked out David Price. He may be looking for something else. Dillian White's number 12. I'm not sure what... and I think all these guys would fight him, but I'm just not sure if they want to fight him next. You know what I mean? Dillian White, I know he may be getting a shot at Luis Ortiz, depending on what Stavern wants to do. I'm hearing Stavern say he doesn't want to fight Luis Ortiz for the mandatory for the WBC. So maybe they can throw Dillian White in there. I'm not sure. But regardless of that, I don't see White fighting him. 11, Andre Fedosov. I think stylistically that'll probably be the most entertaining for what I've seen of JUNLONG and Fedosov. They like, they both guys like to come forward. That'd be entertaining. He's number 11. Number 10, Pulev. I don't see that happening. Number 9, Trevor Bryan. I think that'd be a good fight between two prospects. You know, I'm not sure if Zhang JUNLONG is willing to travel, you know, but I think that'd be a good fight. I mean, there's other names here. Manuel Char, David Hay, which won't happen. Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Some of these fights I just don't see happening. So, but, you know, Zhang Zhalong's going to have to work his way up the rankings somehow, some way. So maybe the WBA, maybe they do order one of these fights. You know, he does hold one of the minor WBA titles, and so does Fedosov. Fedosov. But Fedosov is number 9 by the WBO also. So I'm not sure what he wants to do either. But hey, like I said, though, maybe the WBA will order one of these fights. But if that doesn't happen, some other fights that he can take just to see where he's at. Like a France Real type of fight, or maybe like a David Allen or a Julius Long, something like that. Then maybe a Solomon Haumanu or Alex Leopai or Andre Radinko, you know, something like that. You know what I mean? He wants to come stateside and really, you know, see where he's at. Maybe like a Chris Arreola type of fight. You know, now, like I said, I'm not sure how possible any of these fights are, but I'm just throwing some names out there that I would like to see him in. You know, being that he has fought guys like guy like a Jason Gavin and George Arias. Maybe, you know, Mike Malo's getting ready to fight Zimnock. He could fight the winner of that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fights that can test him just to see where he's at. So whatever he chooses to do, I'll keep it on the lookout, man. But and he's fought already once this year. He fought last month. He won the fight by knockout. So, you know, he is rated by the WBA. And there was one interview. He was doing the interview, and in that interview, the caption read that he wants to win the WBO title. But that interview was from like 2 years ago. So, you know, definitely he wants to win a title one day. He's just not content with these minor world titles that he's picking up, because he's won quite a few of those. But going to have to probably travel, man, either to the UK or to the States, or even he went to Canada and tried to fight like an Oscar Rivas. I mean, I know Oscar Rivas was scheduled to fight Amir Mansour and scheduled to fight Gerald Washington, and he couldn't pass the eye exam here in the States. So maybe Zhang can travel over to Canada and fight like an Oscar Rivas, because it seemed like Canada will give Rivas a license. He continues to fight there. So a lot of names out there for him to test himself against. It just depends on which level does him and his handlers want to test him against. You know, the journeyman level guys, you know, other undefeated prospects coming up like a Trevor Bryan, Oscar Rivas, guys that are on the verge of trying to become contenders. And he's rated, you know what I mean? So I guess we'll see what they do with him. But it's really, like I said, it's too hard for me really to gauge how good he is, because I haven't really seen much footage. But from what I've seen, he has heavy hands. And in one of those fights, I believe it was the Sean Cox fight, he kind of got pressured. No, maybe it wasn't the Sean Cox fight. It was one of those clips, man, where he went back on the back foot and he threw a little fast combination. It was like a hook, uppercut, hook, and knocked the guy down. You know what I mean? But seems like he would have trouble dealing with a mover or somebody that can establish a jab and keep him on the outside. Because in one of those fights, he was getting kind of looked like he was getting upset a little bit that the guy wouldn't engage with him. The guy was moving around, and Zhang kind of stopped, put his hands down, like, "Come on, man, fight me." You know what I mean? But so maybe, you know, dealing with rain or dealing with a guy with a long reach and a jab, and a guy that can move a little bit probably causing some problems. But he has heavy hands, you know. I don't know how good his chin is, but yeah, man, for what I see, I like to see him fight any of the guys that I just named, man. You know, see where he's at. Let's put him out there. Just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm out.